We got churches full of 99% black folks. We're not dealing with black issues. We suffer from hypertension, high blood pressure, economic inequalities, education inequalities. But we're not preaching this. What we're preaching about is, Jesus gonna work it out. Jesus gonna work it out. That's it. I believe that many of our churches, we ain't talking about Ghana right now, so let me just talk about Black America. Many of our churches need to be we need to let everybody leave safely. Put big boards on the door, say out of order, out of service.
What's happening, everybody? Back here in Accra, Ghana. And you know, I had to hook up with my brother Tim Swain for some more heavy-hitting content. And we're just gonna bring it how it is, because we're seeing a lot. We've lived long enough to, one, bridge this gap in the African diaspora. And one of the things that Tim is full of wisdom and knowledge. Every time he comes on, it's like you be hitting folks up. Hitting them good though, hitting them good. And so we wanted to keep the conversation going now that we're here in person. Want to bring you into the conversation. Would love for your comments. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share both channels. You're Tim Swain. That's right. So make sure you do that. But anyway, welcome again.
Hey man.
Mr. Tim Swain.
Listen man, you done picked a nice location. We got trees out here, we're in the shade, and man, listen, you know more about Accra than a lot of Ghanaians.
I've been told that. It's one of these, when you fall in love with the culture, you want to know about the culture. And that's what's happened here. And that's why I'm back. We got a big year in store here for 2022.
You finna travel all around. This is the Back to Africa tour.
It's the Back to Africa tour.
I feel you.
But because of that, one of the things I realized is that it's important for us, those of us who were born in America, and who have a considerable amount of African DNA, to come back and to have the conversations that we're having. Because we're not just having random conversations. We're talking about real stuff. I love what you do on your channel when you talk about the ways that people can repatriate and then the different challenges that they might face when they're coming. So anyway, what's been going on, man? How's everything?
Listen, man, it's been cool. Ghana has definitely presented some challenges, but I think what I've realized in the past several years being here is having such a refined purpose to where when the adversity comes, you know that I'm experiencing adversity because I'm on the right path, as opposed to like, I don't know if I'm on the right path. So I'm gonna tell you, man, listen, life will slap you upside your head. With an old school cast iron skillet.
Oh, old school cast iron skillet.
Not like one of them cheap pots you find at Belcom. Like I'm talking about an old
school. Belcom.
Yeah, not one of them joints. I'm talking about a cast iron skillet.
Now what's Belcom though? Melcom.
Yeah, Melcom's one of the stores here.
Here.
Yeah.
See, you know more. See, you've really been here.
Yeah, but other than that, man, I think, listen, my family's healthy. And we're doing well, man.
Okay.
So we're doing well, man.
I was in your neck of the woods last week.
Yeah, Houston, Texas.
I got down to with the turkey leg hut.
I've heard a lot. I've never been, man.
You've never been?
Last time I was in Houston, I was only there for 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't get to go, man.
Yeah, that thing almost took me out, man. It was good.
But it's like
it had me feel like I had about 3-4 shots. I didn't know what happened. I was
listen,
I was sitting around like.
Listen, I'm telling you, I'm sure, man. That Houston food ain't no joke, man. So
I found out.
Yeah.
So you're here in Accra.
Yeah.
We've been talking about some of the mentalities and the mindsets that we've experienced as being African American, if you will.
Yeah.
What would you say are some things that are killing us from a mindset perspective that you've observed?
Yeah, man. So I'm prepared for the hateration to come.
Okay, so it's about to go down.
It's about to go down. And let me preface it by saying, I see why when certain people get to a certain level in life, they stop talking about race so much. And it's not because it's not as important to them. It's just that when you realize you live in a world where that's not the dominant and salient part of your identity, you can focus on other things. Okay. So with that in mind, I would say that, we have some similarities. I think one of the things I was thinking about the other day was, we talk about, like, I'm even trying to use my word. I'm trying to tread lightly.
He dancing already.
Yeah, I am. I'm dancing.
He's mood walking.
I'm dancing already around it. But I think the reality is, one of the things I've seen, man, that's extremely damaging to us is, I don't know if this is a mentality, but it's just like our lack of understanding of who we are.
Okay.
Like,
Ooh.
so like,
Ooh.
so many of us have no idea who we are. I remember when I worked on the east side of Indianapolis, and the folks are from the east side of Indianapolis, you know what that is. If you're not from the east side of Indianapolis, just pick any hood in your city.
Okay.
That's the same thing. And I remember working with this young group of kids, 16 through 24. They was out of work, out of school. Some of them had like 2 or 3 kids at like 18 and all this other kind of stuff. And we would always do this assessment when we started off our classes. We did classes to help them basically get back into like an on-the-job program or whatever. One of the questions we always asked them was, when you go around to school, your family, and society, what did they tell you about being black? Almost 99% of responses were negative.
Okay.
And then the second part of our class went into a history class, way before 1619. When we got into like actually talking about like the pyramids and Timbuktu and Ashanti Kingdom and like all these different parts, what I saw was so many of these young people had no idea who they are. And that is one of the primary reasons that they don't see themselves as valuable agents in society and in the world. Because it's like, another way of putting it is, a lot of us only see ourselves through a white lens.
Yes.
And so everything we do in life is about being the anti-narrative of what's been taught. So for example, it's like my mama used to tell me, don't go out here and embarrass me in front of these white folks. You better not make them white folks think you stupid. So everything was around living up in the shadow of how white people perceive me.
So it's almost like white supremacy on some levels.
Yeah.
It's like self-imposed white supremacy. Like their standard is the best.
Their standard is the best, exactly. So it wasn't like, go out here and be the best person that God created you to be. Go out here and be excellent. No, it was like, you know, you gotta be 8 times better, because white folks ain't gonna do this, white folks ain't gonna do that.
Got it.
And I think for so long, man, that lived in my head, and I saw that lives in so many of our heads, that it really damages us. And I think it starts from not knowing our history, man. But I don't know, man, what do you think about that?
No, I agree. I mean, when you talk about it, when it comes to the sensitivities, and it triggered something, I often say that you'd be amazed at how many so-called black folks or African Americans are actually white supremacists, not racist.
No, I get you.
But see the way we educate ourselves, the way we see the world, the fact that we even have to be convinced to come to Africa. We don't have a second thought about going to Paris.
At all.
We'll go to Paris and take pictures in front of, basically the Eiffel Tower is a symbol of theft and the racism that we oppose. But we don't know that because we've been educated in the white supremacy system to tell us that that's a great symbol of French whatever, without understanding what the French system has done to our ancestors. So those are the things that I've observed. The British system, we just automatically say the queen is the queen. We know who the queen is without even thinking about all the kings and queens in Africa that don't even get any respect. So those are things that I've observed. And then when you try to teach people and show them, they'll resist, but they'll still cry foul about racism in America. Trump this, Trump that, or whoever, whichever, Bush, whoever, Biden or whatever. But they don't even, but we, I should say, because I was trained under that same system.
Look, I can hear somebody saying, you keep saying they like you.
well, I'll say
I
this.
get you though, I get you.
But no, but in many ways, I've had to force myself to liberate my mentality in that regard because I used to think that way. I mean, I had no desire to come to Africa, but my dream European trip, I want to go to Italy, I want to go to Greece, I want to go to Spain. It was in the back of my mind, one day I'll get to Africa, maybe on a missions trip, maybe on my bucket list, maybe I'll go.
But it wasn't no kind of intentional destination?
No.
Okay,
No, because basically I was a brown body with a white mind. So I was, again.
Break that down, brown body with a white mind.
Well, think about it. From the moment that we went to school, we were indoctrinated to take a pledge to a country that we didn't understand the history about. So I don't know if you did the pledge when you went. I pledged allegiance to the flag.
Yeah. We used to get paddled if we didn't.
Oh, see, now they're beating you.
Yeah.
If you don't do the pledge. I didn't understand what the pledge meant. I just knew in first grade we stood up, put our hand on our heart, and we did it. Okay. So I was indoctrinated from the age of 4, 5, 6 years old. I was never trained to question. So whenever you start questioning, people want to come for you. Oh, why are you questioning that? You should just go with it. Just go with the flow. And I'm like, yeah, but why is it like this? When I went to Tanzania, I went out to the MISA village. In the mud school, the children were singing the Tanzania national anthem. Now, Tanzania, the country, is a colonized country. That has nothing to do with the Maasai. The Maasai are their own people in the Serengeti or where, the area near Serengeti. So I think about that. And the reason why I had no desire, and it just kind of tying the two together, is because from that young age, I was always told that Europe was supreme. Africa was sick. Africa had a problem. Africa had poverty. Africa had corruption. So why would I want to go some places? Corruption, sickness, poverty. Then everything, quote unquote, black was always bad. They did the same thing with the black neighborhoods. When the hood is bad, you don't want to live there. You always want to live out in the suburbs with white people.
But can I ask you a question regarding that, though?
Sure, bring it on down.
Because I was thinking about this the other day.
Oh, another day.
And I was thinking about it in context of Ghana, but I'm going to go to the black hood, right?
Gotcha.
You say we don't want to live in the hood, but then let's talk about, I didn't grow up in the hood.
Okay.
The hood was like a stone away from where I lived.
Okay, that sounds like me, yeah.
But I didn't grow up in it.
Yeah.
But when I went there, it wasn't a place that was nice.
I got you.
Because as a young kid, I was never like a hardcore whatever. But I had homeboys at 14 years old that knew how to work a shotgun better than a bunch of other people.
Yes.
And there was getting locked up in a bunch of other crazy stuff.
Yes.
So the environment was depressing.
Yes.
So then my question would be for you, even if we talk about the mentalities and even how some of these mentalities within our community are formed, like for somebody to say the hood is bad, could somebody push back and say, well, shoot, it is, especially if you talk about like the real life.
Absolutely.
Like I'm talking about them hoods.
I know I had people shooting. We had a shootout in my school back in the day, and one of the dudes that did the shootings. Now I didn't live in the hood, but I was stoned away.
Yeah.
He was over at my house right before the shooting, so I was cool with everybody. I was cool with the shooters and the shootees, or the shot.
Yeah, I get you.
But here's the thing, you're right. Nobody wants to live in those types of conditions where you're fearing for your life, but the question that was never asked is, why is it like that?
Okay, I get you.
Why?
I get you. So it's just that we just accept the fact that this is what you're not supposed to do. Okay, cool.
Right.
But we're not going to question the realities that created the conditions that make it an unlivable environment.
In those conditions and systems,
I get you,
are the very systems that we lust after.
So here's something else I think about, man, that we talked about, right? When we talk about what you just mentioned, what I think about is for those of us who have ascended out the hood, right? And I know some folks, a lot of educated people, PhDs, JDs.
And that education piece is tricky, but I'm with you.
And they educated, right? But even still, there seems to be a mentality where I'm okay with the comments because they finna come after I say this.
Now break it on down.
There's still like this victim mentality that we have. And I define the victim mentality as sometimes there is more like blame than responsibility.
Yes.
Am I saying that racist systems don't exist? No, I'm not. Am I saying that racism doesn't exist? No, I'm not. Am I talking about colonization doesn't exist? No, I'm not.
Right.
But I'm saying that what I've seen is, especially my time in Ghana, man, this has shown me something. When I came to Ghana and I realized that I think it's 25 to 30% of the population here is about 30 million people still don't have access to electricity and potable water.
Right. That's very real.
When I came here, and literally the people right across the street from where I was living at that time had no water. I saw things differently, man.
So what did that say to you?
What it said to me was, number one, I came to a world where I was no longer black.
Okay.
So that forced me to think about my identity in a different context, right? Because that's the most salient part of our identity, first and foremost, when you're black.
Yeah.
You know, black folk, you know how we...
And especially in America, yeah.
But then once you move beyond America, that racialized context, you move into a context where race is not the most dominant part of who you are, it makes you start thinking about things differently. So what it showed me and what it made me think about was, man, what did I have in the States?
Right, it does.
Because you kind of get like trained to like, oh man, it's horrible here. It's not, and it is. Trust me. There's a lot of folks. It's do or die for a lot of folks
in America, even.
Yeah.
Right.
When I came to Ghana, though, I realized, man, like I can go get a job in the States,
doing anything,
and maybe a little bit more difficult for the money I want to make.
Right.
But still, I can go get a job making $12 an hour as a whatever. And even if I had worked my butt off with 2 jobs, that opportunity would translate into so much more here in Ghana. So even like when I came to Ghana, I realized just to go get a job cleaning houses ain't that easy. Where you can have a livable wage here in Ghana.
Interesting.
But in the States, you can, depending on what state you live in, what city you live in, you can go get a job with no education and have a livable wage. So what I go back to the victim mentality is this. I think that sometimes because we're so conditioned, and I go back to my educated people because when I worked in education, I think what we did so much, we spent so much time being problem finders instead of being finders of solutions. So we would sit around the table and talk about now we thirsty,
right?
But we'll sit around and talk about why the water is not this, why the water is not that, and we'll argue this thing up and down. Meanwhile, we got a bottle of water in front of us that we can drink. But we'll spend time arguing why the water is okay, but it ain't gonna be enough for all of us. And we got to talk about the systematic reasons why this bottle is not, and it's like,
drink.
Is you thirsty or not?
Right.
So I think that the victim mentality, when I think about it, I think that, and I'm gonna call us out as black folks, where some of us have enough influence, enough power, enough privilege, enough money to where we really can make opportunities for ourselves, because the truth is they're there, man.
No, opportunities everywhere.
Listen,
Yeah.
Let me say this and be quiet. In America, right now, if you wanted to, you could start a business today. Take you about 35 minutes online, depending on what state you live in.
That's right.
Get your EIN today.
That's right. Within minutes,
all online. You can take that information, print it off. Even if you ain't got a printer at home, you go to the library, Kinko's, pay about 10, 15 cents.
Kinko's.
Today.
Right, today.
Take that information to the bank. Or
Open
maybe
your
about
account.
$50 or $100.
Yeah.
Open up a bank account today.
And be in business.
Not only that, this week, you can take all that information and apply for a credit loan.
You could.
You could do all that in 1 week.
Yeah.
In a place like Ghana,
Yeah.
how long would it take you just to register your business?
Well, I'm going through that right now with one of them.
How long would it take you to open up a bank account? Or how long would it take you to get all of these, to get a loan?
Yeah.
So I think that until we are exposed to, I think, societies that don't have the same level of privilege that we have, we always see ourselves as second-class citizens without understanding and recognizing what we have.
Yeah.
Even the research shows that.
Yeah.
Research shows that African immigrants outperform African Americans. It's not a competition thing.
No.
But it's just that because when you, it's just like, yo.
Well, it goes back to the conditioning. You gotta look at, you're dealing with conditioning, imperialism conditioning on both sides. So say, for example, and I get it. So whenever I come here and I see the hustle and I go back to America, like we were talking about, like, bro, I don't know how you do it. I got some of this Ghanaian influence, some of the Nigerian. I'm like, oh, I have no excuse.
Yeah.
I can't come over here and underperform with all of the access to all of the things that I have access to, I should say. I have to come here and deliver. And not just deliver for me, but deliver on both sides, because I see the lack of opportunities. Meaning, so I see, when I say lack of opportunities, meaning I see where people can go to school and be educated here and then not have job opportunities or business opportunities.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to try to open a business, and then you will go to the business office, you got to pay somebody, bribe somebody, got to play games, you got to jump through all these hoops to try to get things done. So I said, okay, because I'm in this position, now I don't see myself as a victim, but I feel what you're saying, because I hear a lot of people, man, it's America, it's this, that, and the other, and I'm saying, yeah, but.
And how do people respond to you when you basically start like eliminating some of those excuses?
Well, it's twofold. Either it's someone who wants to be liberated or someone who wants to be, some people, no matter what truth you tell them, they're going to be offended. They're going to have a problem. They're going to just, because they want to stay there. So I gauge whether or not this person really wants to change or wants to open their mind, or if they want to stay stuck. And once I determine if they want to stay stuck, I leave them right there. But the person who's like, well, you know what? I think I want to learn a little bit more about this and I'm willing to try to understand a little bit better, then I continue the conversation. But outside of that, if someone is like, nah, man, I'm a victim and I'm gonna just stay right here, all right, cool. Well, then what can I do at that point?
Yeah.
I mean, what can I do? I can argue with them.
Yeah.
But I've recognized for me, once people see me not being a victim, then that's when the influence comes in. Because, this brother, he going over, he doing this, he's doing this thing, and I don't care what they say. I don't give a rat's you know what. They can criticize, they can talk about me, and I'm saying you stuck on the plantation in your mind. I'm off the plantation. So, or maybe you're fine on the plantation. And when I say plantation, meaning the way that we were trained in America is to never leave America at all. We were trained
it's true.
to stay here and work and build up their systems and die. So when you get outside of that and you look back and you say, there's some wonderful things in America. There's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't have the same negative vibe about America. Even though I talk trash about America, I recognize the opportunity in America at the same time. I go back and I say, you know what? Yeah, there's some low down stuff here, but there's some other parts of the world with some low down stuff too. So do I choose to stay with the low down, or am I going to take all of the opportunities that present themselves? And that's what happens when I go to America. And then I come back here, I say I can make all the money I want to make in America. But then when I'm here, it's like there's a peace that comes here, even with the challenges, even with the
peace in Africa.
Yeah, oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But then when I get back, like when I went to Houston, I was good in Houston. I went to the Afro Soca, the business fair, and I'm hanging with us. But I'm also seeing people from Togo, from Nigeria, from Ghana. So they're there. And I'm saying we're all over the world. This African diaspora is everywhere. And when I was in Houston, among those people, I was sitting there talking to a brother, his name is Kojo. Just like, I was sitting there like, man, I'm in Houston now.
Houston's very diverse too.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's like when you get off of the plantation, mentally, I'm not talking about the physical part too, but when you get out of it mentally, then you can start seeing us everywhere. And I saw the same stuff the markets here. I saw it right there at Afro Soca.
No, seriously.
Yeah, I saw the same. I was like, oh, see, I know that design right there. Oh yeah, I can see that. One sister, she's from New York. I believe she was from New York. And so she goes to Nigeria and she gets the items and she takes them back to America and sells. So I think that what ends up happening is, to our detriment, a lot of the so-called education that we think we have is still concentrated education. Meaning we learn, okay, we're a lawyer, but does that mean that we're educated in, history or culture?
Yeah. We're not.
We're not. We know, okay, you can tell me how to, file a court proceeding, but if you have not had exposure to other people and other cultures without a black supremacist mindset.
Wait, hold on. You got to break that down now. You said a black supremacist mindset. You got to break that down.
I said black supremacist. Black supremacy is when, and this is an offshoot of white supremacy, because the whole black-white thing comes from the European division. So what happens is that we can develop this mindset where we're better than, as black, like we are the supreme African diasporans. We're the ones who went through the worst. We are the ones it's like the people who say, well, okay, the descendants of the slaves or whatever. It's like, okay, but what about Brazil? They were 100 years before the 400 years.
I get you.
So what about them? Are they a part of the ADOS or whatever? Are they a part of that? No, it's just us American ones. I'm saying, for me, I'm like, if Black lives matter, then all Black lives need to matter. And I just don't get it when I hear people eliminate.
Yeah, I can get it. I can get it because of limited exposure.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's just like, I don't know the phrase fully in tree, but there's a phrase that says something basically like, when you never left home, your mama's cooking is the best.
That's right.
So until you get out, until you see, and I think that's the thing that a lot of us don't have, and that's what exposure does. I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but that's what exposure does, because if you're only in the context, whatever context that you're in, and here's the crazy thing, I always tell the story, man. When I it hit me because when I was in school, I remember I was a part of all the organizations.
I believe it.
Whoever had the food, listen, I don't care if it was a Democrat, Republican,
whatever. Independent, whoever.
Christian, Buddhist, if you had some food, I was there.
Right.
But here's the crazy thing I heard, man. I go to the what was it called? Black Men United. That was one of the organizations.
All right. That sounded like that song from back in the day. Where,
that's actually how the organization started.
Really, from the song?
From the song.
Yeah.
That's that Black Men United. And it was an amazing organization.
Okay.
I mean, it changed my life. When I went to the meetings, you know what I heard? See, we black people, we the only ones who do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I promise you, I go to the Hispanic Student Association because they had some good Mexican food.
I bet it did.
You know what I heard the Hispanic Student Association saying? You see, we Latinos, we are the only ones who do this. And I love the way black people unite when they do this and this and this.
And you're like, which black people?
I said, I just came from the Black Men United, and they were saying how we are so divided, but the Latinos are united.
Yeah.
I kid you not. You think I'm lying. I went to the Asian Student Association meeting.
Said the same thing.
You know what they said? Because we're not united as Asians. We're this group, and this group. But the black people, when something happens, they on this. And I said, man. So what happens is when we're only confined to our own little world. There's a song by Scarface back in the day called My Block.
Okay.
And Scarface said, in the hood, it's like the world don't exist. We stay confined to the small little section we living in. And that's what it's like.
Okay.
When you're in the hood, you think the world is only as big as the hood. But you realize, man, listen, you go to some parts of Chicago, Houston, whatever, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Folks killing each other
Same thing.
over foolishness. It's the same stuff at the end of the day. So what I'm getting at is simply this. What you talked about was exposure.
Yeah.
So the ability to be exposed and not have the mindset where I'm good where I'm at, I don't need to change nothing, I'm straight, because what it does is it limits your understanding of the world. And it makes you feel like, well, shoot, black people are the only people in the world who have been through this. Nah, fam, go do some research and look.
When they say 400 years, anytime I hear people say it's been 400 years, I'm saying, well, actually, just for America, it's been more than 500 years when you really put the context of the story. And then if you go back with the Arabs, it's even 700 years before that. So what I had to start doing when I start traveling the world, I can see it contextually through a different set of eyes. But if I'm just thinking from a victim, oh man, America has done me wrong, America. It's like, well, yeah, America. But let's go a little bit deeper. Who founded America? Which colonies? The French, the Dutch, the Spanish, the British. That's America. So now let's go back a little bit further and see their imprint all over the world. Let's see their imprint in the Philippines. Let's see their imprint in India.
In Ghana here.
In Ghana. You can see the imprint in Ghana. See them wigs on the head. You see the imprint still in, so you go to Nigeria, you see the imprint. So it's like, now you begin to understand that while we went through what we went through in America, which was insane and still is, but then these other places have gone through it differently. It's like a parent who has 2 children. They abuse the children differently in an effort to keep them separated. So one does it psychologically, the other one does it physically and psychologically. I strip your identity down. And then over here, it's like, you know what, maybe I'm not as abusive physically. So you have a little bit more of an affection towards me. And that's what I see when I come here. I see that affection. It's kind of like the system towards us. That's why everybody runs, I can't wait to get to the UK or Canada or America without really seeing the value. And it's kind of going into some of the other conversations, without seeing the real value of what they have here with the challenges. Don't get me wrong. My thing is this, pimp that hoe. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said it. Did I say that?
I got you.
Yeah, but I'm saying pimp America for what she's worth, because she's doing that to us and has done it to our ancestors. The UK, Canada, use it for what it's worth. But this love, this indoctrination for country and all this other kind of stuff, what it'll do, it'll make you impotent. Because then you'll end up just going along with that versus saying, now who am I? And that's what I had to discover. Who am I as an individual? I'm a combination genetically of all of the above, all of those colonies. And when you come into, so I'm saying, okay, all right, so what? I was born in America. I'm not going to disrespect my ancestors who were born in America, bled, died, built up their country.
Yeah, man.
I'm not going to disrespect them, but I'm not going to disrespect my ones that bled, died over here too.
Yeah.
And so my thing is, How can I honor both? Well, let me discover who I am, be comfortable with who I am, and not even, that's what I say, I don't even care what, somebody has something to say, man, you need to come back over here in America and get back on this tribe. I haven't left America, and I haven't left that tribe. As a matter of fact, when I go to Afro Soca, you can see how I treat people. Like in the videos, you can see how I can get in a village and be comfortable. You can see how I can go around the way in the hood and be comfortable because that's a part of who I am. So I represent all of that in what I do. So I think that, to your point, I don't see myself as a victim. And I hope to inspire other people not to see themselves as victims and really understand what happened to us that may have been.
Yeah. But the thing is, man, who did I hear say this? Oh man, I forgot. Somebody said this. I was watching an interview somebody. Maybe it was Steve Harvey or somebody. I don't know. But they said that, oh yeah, it was Steve Harvey.
Okay.
He said that, think about the worst thing you've ever been through in life.
Got it.
And he said that you made it out of it. That means that every bad situation, every bad day, you have a 100% survival rate.
That's right. I've seen that.
If you're still here.
Yeah.
And I think that, like you, I'm not, and I want folks to hear this clearly, but they probably still won't hear it clearly, because that's just how we do. I am not dismissing the realities of the infrastructural, historical systems that have led to the present day realities that are faced all around the world, particularly with communities of color.
Right.
Particularly people of African descent.
Yes.
What I am saying is that, like yourself, when I got exposed to other people, it opened up my mind to view what I had differently.
Got it.
It really did. The transformational experience for me was coming to the motherland. Not only for this kind of spiritual and conscious awakening, but just also a sober-mindedness about my identities and reconciling who I am.
Okay.
Listen, man, I tell everybody, the last time I visited the States, I had a ball.
Yeah, I saw.
Because it was amazing.
You were able to
listen,
tap into some things.
just go there and mail a package.
Yeah, just go.
In 10 minutes.
And,
yes. In 2 minutes.
All right, you just go in. And
Listen.
Just walk up. And
Go through the airport and they have to worry with Master, please give me something to let you pass. No, I can just flow through that joint.
Yeah. Here's another one. And this was big for me. And this is one of the reasons why it took me forever to travel to Africa in particular, is because I allowed other people to shape the narrative. So growing up, anytime you turn on television, you saw sick babies, flies, poverty, sickness. So who wants to go?
Nobody want to go there.
Who wants to visit? But they never showed the beaches, either coast. Never. You never saw an advertisement for Africa. You might have seen it for some islands.
Well, actually, you know what, now that you said it, I don't ever think I remember seeing a travel advertisement for anywhere in the continent.
No.
I saw Jamaica.
Yeah.
I saw the West Indies.
Yeah.
I never saw you're actually right. I never saw anywhere in the continent. Not an advertisement.
But you go to Paris, go to anywhere in Europe, Italy. So as children, we were indoctrinated to want to be in those places. And then every time you turn on television, give $30 a month to go help feed. And those people look like us. So you made us want, so you're just thinking it's just poverty, but never asking why. So once I came and saw for myself, that's when the perspective changed to see that this continent is the wealthiest continent in the world because it props everything up. All of the resources that come out of here, the oil, the copper, the rubber, the gold, the chocolate, the bauxite, uranium, all these things, the phones that we have.
Vibranium.
Right. Well, Wakanda, Zamunda, all these different things that we have. So that's the other thing, we come here, we're looking for that because our minds have been conditioned to look for Zamunda and Wakanda. Then we come here and see the realities. Then we go back and we talk trash. And I'm talking about we're like, whoa, whoa. It's like, well, now here's the reality. So, what I encourage people to do is to go see for yourself. And a lot of people, when they see for themselves, like we're sitting out here right now, we're not afraid. We're not worried about getting kidnapped.
At all.
We're not worried. But in the minds of so many people, not everybody, but so many people, they won't even consider it. And you gotta, I gotta do sessions, sit down and come on, y'all, and go see. Arm. And it's like, but the life transformation that comes when you realize that you have been fooled your whole life. It's angering, if that's a word. But at the same time, it's liberating. Because now, somebody, like when I see people, they can't tell me how I need to think.
Yeah.
They don't even bother me anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
you can't tell me how I need to think. This is how it is. I know what I've seen for myself, and I bring other people to come see for themselves. So it is what it is. And that is, I believe, for us as people of African descent living in America, I believe that is a major hindrance to our development and self-awareness and identity. And yes, this does not mean that we have to ignore our so-called black culture in America. I love my DC culture. I love my go-go music. I love the language that we have. I love that whole vibe. I'll never give that up. But that doesn't mean I can't like my Afro beats at the same time.
Yeah.
You know?
And the fact that some people make you choose between it shows how limited we are. If this is going to take us off topic, then say we'll deal with this later. But here's a question I thought about. You said that you didn't see advertisements for the continent growing up. And my question would be, I don't know the answer. So maybe somebody watching knows the answer. Why was that?
Because there wasn't enough money in it. You got to think about it like this. Most people, when you talk about traveling, they're going to go for the easy sell. Hawaii. They've branded, enough European interests have branded Jamaica and the DR and the Bahamas. It's close in proximity to the US, so it's a cheap flight.
Yeah.
So you start looking at that. Now you're talking about infrastructure when you're talking about going to Africa. Now Europeans normally go to East Africa to vacation.
Yeah.
I was the only person, when I went to Zanzibar a couple years ago, I was the only person of African descent traveling.
Yeah.
So you had like 200
Yeah.
Europeans, and here I am. So East Africa, so it's socioeconomic. You have to, and I know just me doing tours, the amount of money I have to spend to get people to even consider coming. So if people have been indoctrinated from a child to go to catch a $200 flight to London and go stand in front of the Queen's Palace, who enslaved their ancestors and all this other kind of stuff, and go stand in front of the Eiffel Tower and say, look at me, then it's easy. If you have people conditioned and brainwashed a particular way, you don't want them to come back and discover the truth. You don't want them to see your dirty diapers and skid mark drawers. You don't want them to see that.
But they do go back. I mean, not go back, but they do go to Europe over somewhere. Well, let me say somewhere in Europe over somewhere in the continent.
Yes.
So that's why when you said that, it made me think about something that I don't have no knowledge on, but my mind likes to do research. But I think about, man, that means that, because we know that marketing is marketing is marketing, right?
Yeah.
You can market. Listen, if you can market water to a well, and if it's done right,
they'll buy it. This is better water.
listen, we buy bottled water here, even in the States, you know. But what's what I think? I think about, man, then how much of an opportunity is that for folks?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's something we could talk about later. But I'm just like,
but let me say this: the reason why they don't want us to come back is because the intention was to always use us as a labor force.
I get you. Yeah.
So don't come back and discover. When I talk about skid mark draws, I know that's a little much for y'all. But just imagine that. But you begin to see what those systems have done.
I get you.
So when you understand it, then you're like, wait a minute. Y'all been playing games a long time.
I get you.
And you start putting the pieces. So imagine if you have enough people starting to wake up
to
what happens. So you don't tell them, and then you don't put it in the history books. So you begin to realize the atrocities of even the Swiss. Even when you start looking at the Dutch, and you start figuring out.
It's grimy, dog.
Now you don't want to go to Amsterdam.
It's grimy, man. It's grimy.
That's why, like just in down in the Caribbean, William and Kate, they had to cancel. They were going to go visit somewhere, and the people protested. They said, we don't want you to come. Because as people begin to understand,
it's grimy.
They say, oh, no. And that's one reason, that's another reason why it hasn't been advertised. Because if I can keep you blinded and still looking up to me, it's kind of like with the white Jesus we talked about and all of that. If we can do that, then And so the opportunity, though, is what we're talking about.
You know what, and what you're saying makes sense. One of my good friends who is she's been in the travel agent business for buku years. She said every time she goes to these major conferences, who's representing Africa is non-African.
Yeah, it's the most.
And when you go, but it makes sense. I mean, honestly, even with a lot of our African studies departments, on like national levels are headed by non-Africans.
Yeah, well, the NAACP was founded A lot of people don't know that though.
So
By
I mean,
non-African Americans.
so and it's a thing where like, and what happens is, I mean, I've known friends who've gone to South Africa, but have actually never, they learned nothing about the racial context, right? As you talked about for a reason, and it's what you're saying, talking about hiding the truth so that people don't understand who they are, and how that can pacify us. It goes into my last one.
All right.
And I know you go hard on this last one.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy.
You already know what's coming.
Where we going with this?
I think this is serious. Like I think one of the biggest impediments
oh boy.
to our liberation is our ultra religious mentality.
I knew it.
Now I'm gonna look in the camera and say this: I am a bona fide follower of Christ. I'm unashamed of that. I grew up in the church, but I can make a critique of the systems that we're in.
Okay, so you're differentiating between the faith and the systems.
I can and listen, but we have to become educated. One of my favorite theologians, James Cone, founder of Black Liberation Theology.
Yes.
One of the things he said was, we cannot escape the reality that the black church in America was birthed in slavery.
Oh,
so
boy.
that has a context to how things are shaped.
It does.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
Just like if my son is being raised in Ghana, he's being shaped by the Ghanaian context.
He is.
If he was raised in China,
He'd be shaped by Chinese context.
that's just the reality of what it is.
Right.
And so when I look at my experiences, not to limit my experiences and superimpose them on everybody else, but my experience is very similar to so many others. Here's how it went. Grew up in the church.
All right.
The black church.
The black church.
And I love the black
Hallelujah.
church because I think when you look at the history of the black church has been very instrumental in the liberation of black folks when you look at it historically.
Right,
a lot of people don't know this.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand this.
I got it.
But what happened throughout time was you get taught to be in a system like where you don't question.
Right, don't question.
You just believe.
Just believe.
And the Lord is going to work it out.
Gonna work it out. By and by.
So what happens is you have no autonomous agency in the affairs of your own life. And so you're like, I'm waiting on a financial breakthrough. You got 75 degrees. You can go work a job. It may not be your dream job.
75 degrees.
But you can go work a job and get some money. But no, you're praying for the Lord to open up a door, which translates into, I need somebody to call me on the phone miraculously to offer me a job. You're praying for a health breakthrough.
But you're still eating the same.
You're still eating the same way. And I'm not making light of people with serious health conditions.
Right.
But what happens is the mentality is it puts us in a position to where we literally become ignorant. And I believe that many of our churches, we ain't talking about Ghana right now, so let me just talk about Black America.
Yeah.
Many of our churches need to be we need to let everybody leave safely, put big boards on the door, say out of order, out of service. Yeah. Because a lot of our churches, let me say, there's some churches doing some amazing dope stuff.
Yeah.
But so many of them, man, bruh, the mentality that we have developed, and I'll say this very quickly, the church I grew up in, to this day, still ain't got no youth ministry. Like there's no platform to engage youth. Imagine having let's go to the classroom aspect. Imagine having a classroom full of 10th graders.
Okay.
And you're teaching them on a 5th grade level. Somebody gonna say foul. These are 10th graders, you're teaching them on a 5th grade level. Somebody gonna say foul.
Somebody would.
We got churches full of 99% black folks. We're not dealing with black issues. We suffer from hypertension, high blood pressure, economic inequalities, education inequalities. But we're not preaching this. What we're preaching about is, Jesus gonna work it out. Jesus gonna work it. That's it. But we're not teaching.
And we know that stuff well. We know that culture. We know how to shout, dance.
Listen, the way you just jumped in,
I
we
just
know it.
If you let them. See, it's like it's the culture. Yeah.
And I think that what happens is, man, we really need to, until I got outside of the traditional church, I got into some parachurch organizations that showed me that there was no distinction between my blackness and my faith identity. There was no distinction.
Got you.
And they said, actually, this is how you live it out. You can actually be pro-black and be a believer.
Because, you know, some places they say that you can't do that.
You can't do that. And then they say, here's some people who did it. Boom. Let me introduce you to some theologians, some scholars who were very much believers. Listen, let's be, if you want to be real, one of the greatest leaders of our time is Martin Luther King.
But a lot of people don't like Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King, they don't, and I'm going to say this for the record, especially for young folks who start disrespecting Dr. King.
Well, but they do it.
But this is why.
Okay.
And they say things like less King, more X. First of all, you ain't doing nothing for nobody. So don't put your name on our, first and foremost, that's our leaders, that's our ancestors.
And none of them gonna go out there and get shot.
Don't put your name on our leaders and ancestors. That's disrespectful, number one.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there.
But the other thing is, his theology was attributed to Howard Thurman.
Okay.
Without Howard Thurman, there will be no King's theology. King's theology propelled him into a position to literally lay his life down for black folks. The methodology that he utilized, who cares if folks disagree with it? There are some folks complaining, ain't doing nothing.
Ain't doing nothing.
Well, he doing it like this. We need to do this. Well, you ain't did nothing that King or X did.
Right.
So that's a whole other situation.
That's a whole
but all that to say, I think that, man, I'm not saying we need to totally destroy the faith system, particularly the Christian system. But I even think when you go outside of America, you see Christianity differently. You go to East Africa,
yes,
you definitely see some remnants of colonization, depending on what time frame you're looking at, but you see things differently. But I'm saying that, man, our mentality, that ultra-religious mentality that says God is going to do everything for me and I ain't got to do nothing for myself, bro, that's killing us, man.
Well, that's happening here on the continent.
It is.
I mean, I was
We're going to talk about that.
As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about that in the next segment. We're going to talk about, we talked about the things that we saw African Americans, the mindsets, but then we'll talk about what we see here on the continent, Ghana and some other places that I've seen. But to your point, and I've been, most people know I've spent 25 years in the church system, and I always speak about it from a systemic standpoint.
Yeah, I saw the play.
Yeah, on Church Mafia. Yeah. Like somebody on the inside had to write that one there, because and that was based on true stories.
No, I saw it when I saw the character. I said that reminds me of brother so and so.
Oh, see, but people
facts,
people tap into it, but what I see to our detriment is us. If you have churches and ministries that are true about the people, teaching the context of the story, of really helping people understand the history of the black church, where it started, because a lot of people have conflicts. They say, well, this is the white man's religion. This, you've heard all this.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is a lot of church leaders and pastors don't want to go back to the origins of the black church and talk about where it started. So they'll tell you, well, okay, so-and-so founded it in 18 whatever, but they won't talk about, well, why was it founded? And those are the questions that people are starting to ask now, which brings this conflict. And they're saying, okay, now, because the black church didn't exist, meaning the black American church didn't exist in Africa. So it's like, well, now, as far as Christianity, it was in Africa, but as far as the black American church, it didn't exist until, 200 years ago. So when people, again, this kind of goes back to the exposure. When people say, well, their way is the only way, meaning their church, their system is the best system, well, there were systems that were going on long before that. So you start having people to start wondering, well, okay, so why do we have all this obesity in our churches? Why do we have all this financial? Why is everybody always broke? Or if they're not broke, why you always got to hustle them and got money lines and all this kind of stuff? And why is everybody showboating? And then, of course, this is not every church, but people can see through this stuff. And people are tired.
They tired, dog.
They're tired. They're like, look, okay, if this faith is what I'm supposed to be doing, then I need to get some results from it. Just don't tell me to believe in no results, because the scriptures tell me I'm supposed to get results. So I need to see some results that correspond with what you're preaching to me and asking me for my money for every week. You want me to pay, you want my W-2 statements and my tax. I'm just saying.
I ain't never heard of W-2.
Oh, yeah, they want that.
Really?
These jokers out here want that. I wish a Negro would.
I ain't never been to a church after no W-2s.
Negro, I'd be like, sit your. Anyway, that's a whole different. But they're asking and people are doing it.
Yeah.
People aren't even questioning it.
Blindly.
They say, well, I don't question the mandate of God, and I do what they say. And then all this money that they're giving to people without question, they could be paying off those student loans. They could be paying off those credit cards. When you go in the Old Testament and you look at when God was talking to Israel and gave instructions to Israel to say, don't get connected to the world systems. Stay apart from that, because I'm going to separate you and I'm going to teach you something. We don't even hear about that. We hear just give.
And actually, entrepreneurship is one of those things that is highly spoken about in Scripture.
Yeah.
But because of the context that we grow up in, and I get it, like a lot of us are educated by pastors who are also uneducated about some of these systems.
A whole lot of education, yeah.
But at a certain point, there's no excuse, because I may not know about carbohydrates and fiber.
Right.
But in 2022, heck, if we ain't got some amazing black folks, if you want to go with black folks, we can go with white, whoever you want to go, who can tell you,
yeah,
you actually don't have a digestion issue. You're just not eating enough fiber.
Yeah. So if you want to clear out that situation.
No, seriously.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you something. This is the kind of stuff, listen, I believe that in 2022, on a Sunday morning, some of us can. I know there's a lot of great churches out there that are doing this. But more of us need to be able to go to church on a Sunday and learn the difference between carbohydrates and fiber.
Yes.
Some of us need to know that fiber can help you take a poo-poo.
Yes.
What foods have, you think I'm playing? I'm serious. We need to go to church and we need to know how to calculate an interest rate on a Sunday morning.
On a Sunday. Not on a class. On
No.
When nobody want to come out.
On Sunday morning when all the people are there, we need to know how to calculate an interest rate on a credit card. How to calculate my interest rate on my on an investment property. Yeah. We need to know, and for us who want to preach about our children or the future, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children. We need on a Sunday morning, what is a 529?
That's right. To know.
How much money, if my kid is in the womb right now, I anticipate him or her going to college at 16, 17, 18. Realistically, how much money is that going to cost?
That's right.
How much money do I need to put aside right now?
But this is what I've discovered. The people don't want that. In my 25 years.
You say the people don't want that.
They don't want that. They want, and I'm just doing a broad, and I'm not, of course, it's not everybody.
Yeah.
But if you're not talking that, it's almost like you have to sell it to them in such, you got to massage it. And you got to break that thing down.
I get you.
You have to, unless you talk about the music, you got to have the music going. You got to have
put some music to it, God dang it.
But it's not a music message.
529. You need to come with your children.
No, but they don't want that.
I get you.
And this is what I've discovered, because that doesn't bring the money in. When you start talking about life insurance, when you start saying taking responsibility, because 529 is taking responsibility. Life insurance is taking responsibility. When you start talking about eating enough fiber so that you can go to the bathroom properly, that's taking responsibility. It's much easier to come in, God, Jesus gonna work it out if you let him, oh, it's gonna be okay by and by, and you don't take responsibility. So when you start preaching messages about responsibility.
Yeah, that sounds a little off, because it's like, now I'm forced to be convicted. I'm not forced, I am convicted by basically changing my behavior. Right. And I think that it messes up our mentality, because what happens is we're taught, as long as I believe in this particular religious institution, life is going to be easy.
Right.
And I think what it does is it causes a theological quandary when we get into a position where it's like, how much am I responsible for versus God?
There it is.
Because I was taught that if I just pray,
it's going to be all right.
It's going to be okay. But now I need to know, like, how much work do I got to put in? But that takes, and I know I watch a lot of great pastors, man, that are doing a tremendous job, man. And most of them are some younger dudes who come up with the same questions. Okay. And that decided to change the trajectory of, how things are preached. But I really believe, honestly, man, like, this mentality, and I'm speaking from my personal experience, but my experience is that of, listen, I've been in ministry, Christian circles, for a minute. Okay. Almost 20 years.
Yeah, see, there you go.
I got to say when I was
there you go.
Almost 20 years.
There you go.
And I'm going to tell you something, dude. Most of I'll say a significant amount of our churches are teaching foolishness.
Yes. Pure foolishness.
And there's no other way I can say it.
But the reason why it works is because that's what the people are consuming. If the people wanted something different, on a broader scale.
But I think they do. That's why they leave.
But they might not know. Yeah, definitely the ones that leave, but they're still packing them in. For whatever reason, there are people who are still packing these churches out. They're still giving their life's blood. They're still giving their money. They're still doing everything. So it is telling these institutions that this is okay to do. Because if they alter the programming too much, now they have more of an exodus. And now you begin to dwindle down. I just did a talk about the pastor who was talking about he was burnt out in North Carolina.
I saw the video.
Yeah,
I saw the video.
So he talked about he was burnt out. Well, I did a commentary on it because, again, I got 25 years in this. I've done everything in the church.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I felt for the brother. My assessment of it is that either he's going to need to change his system or he needs to go find something else to do. That was the long and short of it, because if he does not change his system, he's going to be here again. The system has to change because, and so there were some philosophies that he shared that I said that's where his problem is right there, because if he doesn't change that within himself, then his expectations, he's going to constantly be disappointed because he's expecting the people to behave one way. They might have a completely different, we don't know what's going on in their household. And so now here he is putting all this burden on himself, worried about if he's gonna have a stroke and a heart attack and all this other kind of stuff. So it's so you have pastors in that position who may have a desire to actually help the people. You have the crooks out there that's out there that's seeing that the people are easy pickings. You can tell them anything and they'll follow you. And then you have the other ones that are seriously dedicated to doing ministry, but the resources don't come in at the same level, so they're barely holding on, taking care of their families. They're sacrificing their retirement and all this other kind of stuff. So you see all of this stuff go. I mean, this is
true. I've seen it too, man. I've seen people get their lives to the ministry, man, and they left with nothing, dude.
Nothing.
They left with nothing, and I think that. Man, that's a whole nother show.
I know. I said, that's a whole.
You know,
we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about that.
That's a whole nother.
Listen,
show,
everybody. Man. This is another great conversation because we can go on and on and on. Yeah. And I know you want more from Tim Swain. I can tell you that we have unearthed a whole lot here. It was one statement that I made. What was it? It was a statement. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I was talking about the NAACP. And I was talking about how a lot of people didn't realize that there were white people that co-founded it. Now, you did have W.E.B. Du Bois and you had other people who were there, but then you also had some Jews, Joel Spingarn and others. And they controlled the money of the NAACP until, I believe, the 1960s. A lot of people don't know that. And they don't understand that a lot of these institutions, a lot of our schools were not founded exclusively by so-called African Americans, black folks. Now, some people excuse that. They say, well, how else were they going to do it? But when you begin to dive into it a little bit more and look at it from a systemic standpoint, what level of influence did they have over what people were being taught and what type of information they were being had exposure to? So now, because we have, and this is the beautiful part about being from America and of African descent, we have access to the resources. Yeah. So now we can tell our own stories and our own narratives. We don't have to ask permission. People can click on a link and watch all day long, and they can binge. One guy I did an interview with, he said, I binge on Tim Swain all day long. Guy from, he's in Philly. He said, I just binge watch. I love Tim Swain. So this it was a couple interviews ago. So this is the responsibility that we have to have these conversations and to not be afraid of the criticism that comes. Because the criticism comes with the territory, and everybody's not going to like you. People are going to unsubscribe. People are going to, we're just sharing it from our perspectives, and that's all we can do. And then if somebody finds value in it, cool. If they don't, cool. That's why you don't rely on your livelihood coming from YouTube and social platforms. But it's like, it's always a treat to talk to you. We're going to wrap up this one part right here. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about some of the mentalities that people in Africa have that's killing them. And then we'll bring that together. So make sure that you subscribe to both channels. You're Tim Swain on YouTube, and I am Tim Swain on.
If you hit Tim Swain, that'll hit all my platforms.
So that's on IG, YouTube. And your website is
Tim Swain.
TimSwain.com.
Yep.
So make sure that you do that. Be sure to click that like button, hit the subscribe, and then hit the notification bell so that you can get updates back on this African journey, this content. We're going to keep bringing it your way, having these types of conversations. Please feel free to comment below. We'd love to hear from you. So until next time, take care, be safe.
Open up your eyes and see all the fun and mystery. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny. From the mountains to the shore, so many things to explore. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny.
The Adventures of Darren and Destiny. And Darren and Destiny are twin brother and sister, and you go on their adventures throughout the African diaspora, meaning so African diaspora destinations, primarily focused in Africa, but we go to South America, we're going to go to the Caribbean. Their first book is going to take you to Ghana, and then we're going to go on a safari. And from there, we're going to go to Ethiopia, and then we go to Salvador, Brazil. And what the goal is to be able to inspire curiosity in the continent of Africa, in our children from a very young age, and to really tell a more accurate story. Most of our children are exposed to negative images, late night infomercials about how bad things are, everybody's sick, everybody's poor, everyone's uneducated, but that's simply not true. So what Darren and Destiny and their family do is they go to different African destinations. They are learning about these different places. You're beginning to see positive images, but still telling the truth. I mean, that's the important thing, to tell the truth about some of the things that have occurred. But it's all done on our children's level so they begin to understand it. And it begins to pique their curiosity. They begin to learn more. And hopefully one day they will want to explore and visit the continent of Africa and its many countries. There's just so much that Darren and Destiny are able to do, and as they're doing it, it's like they begin to open the minds of a new generation, and they don't get bombarded and indoctrinated with negativity. They're actually able to see positivity and inspiring images and messages about the African diaspora, as well as those who are still indigenous to the continent of Africa, and they begin to learn more and just see things differently. So I'm excited about introducing the Adventures of Darren and Destiny.